Hi, guys. Thanks for joining. This is Essence of History. Today, we're going to be talking about St. Patrick's Day. My name is Amanda Armagost.
My name is Alyssa Hopper.
And I'm Dr. Abbasi for Essence.
Thanks for joining. So, what do you know about St. Patrick's Day?
That people get drunk and I have to fix them in the ER. That's all I know about them.
Well, as you mentioned, alcohol kind of is a big thing that's tied to St. Patrick's Day. Actually, there is a 10% increase in DUIs on St. Patrick's Day alone.
And that translates in more accident, and that translates, we hate all these holidays in the ER.
I know. No, the ER is not a place to be as an employee on a holiday.
On the holidays.
You can be busy.
And my first call was 4th of July, 2002. And that was a 36 hours non-stop terror and horror. And I can imagine St. Patrick's Day and some other holidays are very close to that.
Oh, for sure. Especially St. Patrick's Day is known for drinking.
Where you're required to drink. Irish, right?
Yes, you have to. Alyssa, do you know how much alcohol is consumed during St. Patrick's Day?
Oh, gosh. A lot? I'd say millions.
Millions
of what? Millions of
pints.
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 Okay. Well, I think it's more than that, millions of pints, because considering, how many people are celebrating that. So where is celebrated? Where is the St. Patrick's Day celebrated?
Well, the first St. Patrick's Day celebration, where do you think it was?
Well, I know it's an Irish holiday, but many of these things, actually, they didn't come from Ireland. They came from mainland Europe, because that was where all the saints came from, in Catholic kind of realm. And it must have been, this is just me deducting, it must have been before 15th century, because at that time, England was a Catholic country.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the marriage problem of Henry VI, I believe, or 14. I don't know those numbers, that made them accept the Protestant kind of belief, because in Catholic belief, he couldn't divorce his wife. And so he had to convert to whole other religion to get rid of the first wife. By the way, he killed most of his wives. But more or less, so it has to be an old.
Did we establish what your guess is for which country had the first celebration of St. Patrick's Day?
England?
Well, you're actually you are onto something, because St. Patrick was from England.
He was.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually didn't really go to Ireland on good and positive terms. He was kidnapped.
Wow.
Yeah, St. Patrick was kidnapped from England.
What year?
He was 16 years old.
Yeah, he was young.
Oh, yeah, I heard he was a slave for a while.
Yep, he was a slave and a shepherd for 6 years.
Yep.
But then he was kidnapped by pirates, brought to Ireland to work there as a slave, and then he escaped by walking 200 miles to a port and then going back to England.
Oh, so he was there just to do free work and then went back?
Well, he didn't just go back. He had to escape back.
Oh,
yeah, he wasn't brought back.
Poor guy.
Yeah.
So, and the Irish are celebrating the enslavement of St. Patrick?
Well, that's where we get kind of the alcohol side of things.
Oh.
As you know, what other holiday is kind of going on right now? Do you know?
Right now?
Mm-hmm. We are currently
Catholic.
Yeah, we are currently in the Lenten season, which is that period before Easter.
Can you explain Lent a little bit, Alyssa? Or just don't go into
So basically, the general idea of what we need to understand for this podcast is the idea of Lent is, you sacrifice the same way, Jesus did on the cross, which is kind of the history of Easter. So it's kind of known to give something up during these 4 weeks of Lent. It's common to give up sugars, candies, things that you would struggle to give up on a daily basis.
You eat only lentils?
No, it's just called Lent.
Lent.
But back in the day, they still had Lent, but they were not allowed to drink alcohol.
What's Lent?
That's what it's called. The period before Easter.
Oh.
It's called the Lenten season.
Oh, okay.
So it's about 4 weeks before Easter. You were not allowed to drink alcohol. It's it's less demanding now, but Lent is still celebrated all across Christianity. But the biggest thing was in Ireland, they could not drink during Lent, except for St. Patrick's Day.
Wow. So they
So
have to catch up.
One
Wow.
one day during this whole period, it was legal for them to drink alcohol. And that's why we get this big old association of alcohol with St. Patrick's Day, because as you can imagine,
Then they went all the way.
they went all the
It was
way.
crazy.
Yeah, that's interesting. And that makes as well as understand a little background to
Mhm.
the whole process, that they couldn't drink. So the only day they could drink, obviously, they overdid it a little.
A little.
Yeah.
So Amanda, do you know how they got St. Patrick's Day? How they decided what day was going to be
No,
St.
but-
Patrick's Day?
I want to know how St. Patrick became St. Patrick's to start with. What sanctifies him? What did he do that was so out of ordinary to make him a saint?
Well, St. Patrick brought Catholicism to Ireland when he went back.
Oh, so he
After-
went back
Yeah,
again.
after he
So he's
escaped
asking
some-
for trouble.
Yeah, he did go back after he escaped, and he brought Catholicism to Ireland.
Okay,
Basically, that's kind of what I had got me understanding up to.
And- that was his sanctum.
That was the sanctum. That's how he became the saint. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And so continued. So he's with 16, he's kidnapped, he's a slave, he escapes back, and then obviously he sort of spent his life for religious
Purposes,
Yeah,
and so on.
exactly. And when he was there, Ireland was really dangerous. There was like a lot of
Ireland's still dangerous.
warlords and fighting
Uh-huh.
going on. And I think St. Patrick's Day is on March 17th because that's the day he passed away. right?
Correct. Yep.
Oh, okay.
So they celebrate his passing, which just happens to be during the time that they couldn't actually celebrate, which is
Yeah.
where they give.
Most of the saints, they were, killed. Was
Mm-hmm.
he killed? Was he a martyr, or or do we know even?
I didn't
Sure.
find that. I found that he died in 461.
So,
So
yeah,
long time ago. So I would
Yeah.
assume probably at a younger age.
Yeah,
Yeah.
our investigator, Charlie, he was doing some research on St. Patrick's Day, but because it's so old, there's not as much written
Yeah,
information.
makes sense.
And as you can see, they kind of grasped at strings to
Mhm.
create
Yeah.
a bigger
Talk-
holiday.
Talking about the documentation and so on, when do you think the first New Testament was written? What year?
One. No, so probably, I don't know.
Guess what?
I'm gonna say it was written in the 1800s.
No,
No.
it was written much. No,
Like
Bible
1000.
Bible was a Old Testament and New Testament, and each of them there were many books. Eventually they decided which one makes the official,
The cut.
Bible and so on. But the first written thing about the first 4 books of the New Testament are practically those books are considered the Evangelium, right?
The Gospels.
The Gospels.
Mhm.
And do you know what year the first one was written? Any guess?
1200.
No, actually, 120.
Oh, see, I was really close.
The first
Plus
mention,
0.
the first mention of Jesus was in 70, after what we consider 70 AC. Okay, but so I can imagine that documentation was not a big thing in 400.
Mhm.
And that is actually the time that the Dark Ages started. So that was the time you would burn the books to get warm. So at the Dark Ages, have you heard of the Dark Ages?
I haven't.
No? Do you know what Dark
I've
Ages
heard
are?
of the Dark Ages, but I'm not so
No, after
educated on it.
after fall of the Roman Empire, practically it was chaos, because no matter how brutal Roman were, they brought structure and law across the nations. Whereas after they fell apart around the same time, that all these little places, they had their own rules and so on, and it was chaos. And it was then the religious fanatism took over. And then that's where lots of books were lost, actually.
Mm.
As a matter of fact, there's important information that before that, the Arabs, they translated most of the antique work from Latin to Arabic. And most of the thing we consider antique books, these are actually the translation from the Arabic because the original were all lost. So 400 was not a good time for documentation, science, and history because that is when everybody killed everybody and burned the book to stay warm.
Yeah, they were focusing on other things than
Yeah.
writing books.
And reading books
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, they had bigger fish to fry.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question for you guys to get kind of on a St. Patrick's Day. What color do we associate with St. Patrick?
Oh, I have watched so many TikToks that are putting color in the Chicago River. So I know that.
Yeah,
Oh,
Alyssa and
we
I were
get
just
there.
talking about that.
Okay, so we can agree that
Green.
green is the color that we think of,
Mm-hmm.
but it wasn't always green, which I was quite interested. Being that green is in the Ireland's flag, I thought, well, obviously, but do you know what color it was before 1798?
I just recently found out, but I'm sure you're going to tell us and why.
Yeah, I know it was blue.
It was
But
blue.
I don't know why it was blue.
Well, for the same reason that you kind of explained why St. Patrick's was back in England. England had some sort of control over Ireland. And as we know, England's flag is blue. And that's how we got the
Hmm.
correlation until 1798 when Ireland had its rebellion. And they decided we didn't want any affiliation. We're taking green. And that's when we got the association of green, Ireland, and St. Patrick's Day.
Mm,
Or it was blue.
So
mm.
do you know why it's green? Why they chose green?
I don't. Other than
Well,
it's not blue.
Ireland is very green country.
Ireland
Lots
is
of
very green.
Yeah.
And I know that I don't think that this is why they chose green. This was definitely far after the thing, but Ireland is known for their potato famine.
but that was 1800.
And when
38 or 40.
when people were starving from the potato famine, they actually were resorting to eating grass.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
So yeah, so they were eating grass and obviously dying of starvation. And when people would find these deceased individuals, their mouths were actually green from eating the grass.
wow.
That's quite a story,
Yeah,
Miranda.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really sad story.
I have heard that potatoes are quite common in Ireland.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously, potato is not a natural plant in Europe. They brought it from New World, from Americas. But then, in many countries, potato became the staple food. And one of the problem with the potato is that they grow only one kind of. Now, like in Americas, you have 1,000 variation of potatoes, whereas in Europe they have just one variation, and if there's a pest or something, it can annihilate all the thing. So yeah, actually that was a very big deal because they stopped everything else and they relied only on this potato because it was growing everywhere until it wasn't.
Yeah, and they
Yeah.
also aren't really the best source of nutrients, potatoes. They have
It's-
some, but
it is
there's-
starch, mostly starch. And the best part of the potato is actually
Skin.
the skin,
yeah, the part
and
people don't eat.
the part that the people exactly.
Which is
don't-
it's the same for almost all vegetables. The
Yep.
most nutrient part is
Yeah.
on the skin.
So so they had to eat grass, and that wasn't enough, and they would die. So, but why would they choose the color that the death?
No, that was way after.
Yeah, that was way after. Yeah.
Ireland is also closely associated and St. Patrick's Day with shamrocks.
Yeah, absolutely. Which I have a little interesting fact about
Okay.
shamrocks. The biggest difference, at least for me, was shamrocks and four-leaf clovers.
Mm-mm.
To me, I thought they were the same thing. I was unaware that they are completely different things. The shamrock only has 3 leaves at all times. This is what we consider as the 3-leaf clover. That is the ordinary clover. which is why we have that association with St. Patrick's Day, because you would see it everywhere. Then we got some sort of mutation somewhere down the line, and we were starting to see 4-leaf clovers. Well, do you know how common a 4-leaf clover is?
You tell me.
1 in every 10,000
Wow.
3-leaf clovers will become a 4-leaf clover.
So, well, no, I'm just questioning why it's so rare.
You know, I
It
don't.
must be a disadvantage to be 4-leaf clover than 3-leaf clover.
That's what we see with evolution and what we know about how we develop and adapt, but I'm not entirely sure. What I do know is because of its rarity, it was seen as a sign of good luck.
Except for the clover.
Yeah, except for the poor clover.
Yeah, unless you are the clover.
It's not a good thing.
But from Shamrocks, we did get McDonald's Shamrock shakes,
True.
which only come out in March. So
Is it green?
it is green.
Okay.
So what else? So about shamrocks are associated with St. Patrick and St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick is a Catholic holiday.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. And we know shamrocks are 3. So it's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. That's what St. Patrick used to show.
The
about-
Trinity.
So
Yeah,
and
the Trinity.
if there's 4, who's the 4th? If it's the 4,
It's a
Yourself.
mutation.
yeah. It's just
You're just lucky.
Yeah.
One in 10,000
Yeah.
or 1 in a million if you close your eyes.
wow. That's a lot of history just packed in
Isn't
St.
it
Patrick.
crazy?
Now, this is going to sound so dumb. Has any of that anything to do with Leprechaun and so on? Am I mixing 2 different?
No, St. Patrick's Day and leprechauns are.
You're absolutely not mixing it up.
No.
But I think a lot of it comes in what we, correlation. With Santa Claus, we came up with someone to believe in, someone to associate, just like the Easter Bunny and Easter. It was kind of my understanding, their way of having someone to represent St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
And
for
it's
the
a
children.
leprechaun?
And it's a leprechaun.
Okay, is Leprechaun a good or a bad player?
Well, leprechaun is like a
Like a joker.
jokester. Yeah.
Jokester.
I
So
remember.
it's not evil.
No,
No?
he's not evil, but
Maybe
he's not good.
mischievous.
Mischievous,
Yeah.
yeah. I remember in like kindergarten, leprechauns used to come on St. Patrick's Day to my classroom and like dye things green and put coins around. Yeah, and
Money
I
gold.
told Alyssa mentioned about pinching. It's like a common thing in the US. If you don't wear green on St. Patrick's Day, you get pinched.
Really?
Not here. I told Alyssa.
Check out
if I
my
get pinched-
TikTok.
Okay.
I'll explain, because actually we work with a man named Charlie upstairs who hadn't heard of this either, but Amanda and I had both heard of this. So supposedly somewhere going down life, there is a saying that if you don't wear green on St. Patrick's Day, people are allowed to pinch you.
Oh, in Germany, there's something similar, but it's not pinching. That in certain time, like fasching, they call it, that the woman can cut the tie of the man. So men always have the tie they want to get rid of, because if you walk on the street, they just assault you and cut your ties. Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, but actually they're around the same time. Yeah, the time of it is around the same time, but this has obviously in Germany nothing to do with St. Patrick's Day.
Well, I would say nothing. Like we know, Ireland is also in Europe, like Germany. But did you know it was actually the Spanish people who started the first celebration in America?
It was in St. Augustine in Florida, a Spanish colony.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. So it was actually the Spanish Europeans who decided that, hey, we're going to celebrate this man.
You mean drinking?
You
Celebrate
you
drinking.
can say that. I will say celebrate the man that they thought were celebrating. But
Let's go
Yeah.
back to pinching. So why is that a thing?
well, before I explain what I learned, pinching is never okay, guys. No one try
Yeah,
and
stay
pinch
away
me.
from me.
Yeah,
But
as you can see.
The whole point was, as we know, leprechauns, they're shorter, they're a little undersized, so as we call them, little man syndrome. So they might be a little more angry, but they supposedly had in their folklore, they like to pinch. That was
Leprechaun like
the
to pinch.
leprechauns like to pinch. And
Yeah, go ahead.
and the saying was leprechauns could not see green. Green made you invisible.
Nice.
And
I
so
see.
if
I
you
see. It's
are
coming together.
green on
It's come
St. Patrick's
together.
Day,
Yeah.
you would not get pinched because they could not see.
Now, in reality, some other people would go and pinch somebody who
They
doesn't.
still do that.
Okay.
Like right now, I think Amanda has the
No,
right
you're
to pinch
safe.
ya.
You're safe. I made it very clear. If anyone pinches me, I'm gonna be really mad. So I'm not gonna pinch you.
Okay. Now, what's that about gold and the leprechaun? What's going on? What's the story behind that? Why leprechaun love gold so much?
I mean, I don't know the actual answer, but is
There's
it not for
theories.
obvious reasons? Like you
Yeah.
and I liking gold?
Like the gold at the end of the rainbow. Haven't
What?
you ever heard that?
No.
Have you heard that? Olivia?
Yes,
okay,
I've heard
okay,
that.
good. Like at the end of the rainbow, there's each
A
end
pot
is
of
supposed to have a
gold.
pot of gold.
That the leprechauns watch.
Oh, okay.
I think gold obviously is just of value. And I have the feeling that, like I said before, on St. Patrick's Day, leprechauns like to be like a little bit mischievous and then
They wanna
hide
come
gold
and-
coins. It's
or
just
steal
something
your
for the
gold.
kids.
Yeah.
No, they hide the gold coins.
Oh, there's a good story there. Some of the surgeries I do, these screws, they come in gold color. And the top part, there's small little tabs I break. Once my son, who's now 15, we were in our lake house. I just threw those things in the water. I said, I saw leprechaun coming. He was 5 years or something. And then he got into the water for hours. He was looking for those little tabs, for those gold. I told him it's real gold.
Yeah.
So I think I see the effect of that on children and
Mhm.
how to entertain this magical thinking about how to keep them entertained. It's actually a beautiful holiday because I saw how excited my son was for hours looking for these little golden tabs
Yeah.
and so on in the water and just, just being entertained.
Yeah. And at the
Yeah.
end of the day, that's what most holidays are. It's just
Yeah.
something for the kids.
Yeah. Well, what else do we need to know now about St. Patrick's Day?
Which I think we should maybe just touch a little bit about the Americanized version
Mhm.
of St. Patrick's Day. Like we know kind of how it got brought here, but how is it celebrated today? Like what have we done to kind of make it a holiday? Because just like Valentine's Day, it's named after a saint. It's another religious based holiday.
Yeah, I think it's definitely less commercialized than Valentine's Day is.
Mhm.
I noticed when I go to Target, this is the same example I had for Valentine's Day. It's not all St. Patrick's Day stuff, it's actually mostly Easter.
Mhm.
So St. Patrick's Day is less Americanized and commercialized than other holidays, but of course we still do it. We dump 40 pounds of vegetable dye in the Chicago River.
40 pounds doesn't sound a lot.
You've seen those videos. They make that whole river green. I hope this is the last. I know people love that, but I hope this is the last year that we do that. It's really wasteful and a little bit ridiculous.
A little.
How
It's
do fish
ugly.
how do fish like it?
No one cares about the fish. No one cares about how the planet feels about our little St. Patrick's Day celebration, Green River.
As long as they get their green beer, which is a thing.
Green
You
beer.
didn't know that?
No.
They will put food dye in a lot of alcohols tonight.
I'm learning a
lot.
lot tonight.
They'll
today.
make anything green.
Pickled beers, they'll throw pickles, olives, all those extra green things that could be
Wow.
thrown in beers. They'll be in there tonight. I guarantee you.
Yeah, not at my house.
Yeah, I'm safe as well. So
We wanted to find a little bit of dirty history about St. Patrick's Day, but we actually unfortunately couldn't.
Really?
Yeah, the worst or like craziest, darkest thing we found happened in Boston. You remember we talked about that a little bit. It
about
was
the
the
robbery.
Yeah, the
Mm.
largest private
Oh.
property theft in American
Oh,
history.
that art robbery. The
Well, I know
work of
the
art.
Yeah, at the Gardner Museum. Yep.
Mm.
Mhm. Culprits never found. Maybe they were leprechauns.
Do you know how much money that they lost in total
Oh, well, I
or worth of merchandise? At least?
probably billion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
almost. I mean,
Yeah.
300 million. That's pretty close.
Yeah.
That's enough for me.
Well, I have heard that they have those paintings. They still have the framing still on the walls, empty framing. as a sign of what it was lost to the museum,
Memorial kind
as a
of.
memorial kind of things. But that's kind of excuse my French, but that's a DICK
Okay.
move.
Yeah.
Stealing art, something that is a legacy of our culture, stealing that and then putting in a back room. So some
So
probably
it's
some
never found again.
some rich person, these kind of robberies are always their commission. Somebody says, I want that. I give you that much money. You go and get that. And that is probably in some private house in a dark room that only one or two people just go there every 6 months and just look at it. That's the thickest move somebody can do.
Yeah, it really takes away the appreciation for the work that the
Yeah.
artists did.
Yeah. Well, who knows? Maybe we still find it.
Yeah, maybe we'll still find them. Maybe the St. Patrick's Day things
I don't
will
know. They said
come to light.
26 years later and they have no leads.
So that was just 26 years ago?
That's what I found.
Oh, okay. That wasn't that long ago. So we had all the like FBI and so on. FBI, if you're listening, where are you? What are you doing?
Get on it.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you think alcohol was involved in the robbery, even though
No.
you think it was commission based?
No way.
No,
Maybe after.
those thieves are professionals.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they would have gotten caught.
I know.
Yeah.
You're
So,
right.
And professional thieves are like professional doctors.
You're
They
probably
don't drink
right.
and work.
I'd be interested to know what other heists they pulled off, actually.
You know,
Because if they got away with this, I'm sure they've done others and gotten away with it.
I assume, and this
Yeah.
might be my own fault for assuming this, but when alcohol is involved, in most cases, I assume things go poorly. So when you have a holiday that emphasizes so much, intoxication, I gotta imagine that the robberies in general are up,
Mhm.
or,
Oh, for sure.
crime in general, things that people
Yeah.
wouldn't normally do sober, but
Violent
maybe we
crime.
would do.
Mm.
Yeah, exactly. Even if
No.
it was little things,
punching people. Yeah.
Mhm.
Educate me a little. St. Patrick's Day is not the actual federal or state holiday, is it?
No, it's not a federal holiday.
It is a
it's
holiday,
not.
but it's not like we take time off.
Correct.
Is it always weekends or is it
No, it's always the 17th of March.
always 17th of March? So most of people have to work next day or most of the time.
Correct.
So that is maybe why it didn't caught up with the rest of the thing, because people have to work next day and they cannot celebrate like maybe some other holidays. What do you think?
Have you? That's a silly question. If I've asked you if you've heard of Oktoberfest,
Well, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
but the way I've heard St. Patrick's Day described
Mhm.
is it's like a mini Oktoberfest where on the weekend, whether before or after St. Patrick's Day, they'll do their pub crawls, they'll
Yeah.
do their full celebration.
I see.
For us, it's not just one day. It's an opportunity to
Let go.
exploit it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point because the biggest drinking day of the year is the day before Thanksgiving, right? And people have that day off. So
Is it? I didn't know that. That's
didn't know that.
interesting. That's interesting fact.
Mm.
Yeah, it makes sense though, because then it's a Thanksgiving and then you're
Friday.
not driving and then it's a Friday, then it's the weekend. You have 4 days to recover.
Not enough.
And I mean, there's other reasons too. Like a lot of people are sad on Thanksgiving and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Well, but as well, most of the time
People are in
traveling,
town.
aren't they?
Yeah, people are in town to see their family and they're catching up
Yeah.
with like friends and stuff. So that being said, I hope all of you guys take it easy this St. Patrick's Day. Don't overdo it.
Except Amanda and the friends. They have a party. You are all invited.
There's no St. Patrick's Day theme to this party. No green. Actually, there's a green band on the party.
Okay.
Grab your
Who
pinchers.
want to come with me? Go and, in the front of Amanda's house and just wait to be let in.
Torment.
It's a cold night. I don't recommend that. I think right now
Hey.
it's 10 degrees out.
They say alcohol warms the body.
Yeah, and the alcohol is inside. These people are outside. So-
Okay. Amanda's parties are legendary.
Okay, so everyone protect your liver and be safe. Do not drink and drive.
Thank you. Yes.
Well,
A lifetime of Ubers costs less than a DUI. So
What? Is that true? Or
Yeah,
are you just
believe
making
there's
that
some-
up?
No, there's people that have actually done the math. A lifetime of Ubers, if you
Oh, if you need it, like when you go
when
party
you
and
go
so.
drinking, costs
Yeah.
less than the price of a DUI.
Oh,
So keep that in mind. Do not drink and drive, and have a safe night.
an accident as well will be very poor to your health.
And an ER bill. Yeah.
Yeah, don't come visit these two in the ER. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm Amanda Armagast.
I'm Melissa Haber.
And I'm Dr. Abbasi for SC.